Let me try this another way. I'm sitting down, Catherine and I in front of TV on whatever the night the grand jury announcement happened. This is Wednesday, so it must have been Monday. The days run together in a short week. I get confused. I think it was whatever night it was. And we turned on Fox at 9 o'clock, and we're expecting the announcement at 9 o'clock. And by 9:20, there's no announcement. No, we turned in at 8 o'clock thinking that the announcement was we were off by an hour. Anyway, the announcement finally came, and I looked at Catherine and I said, look, listen to all these people on TV. They're just vamping and filling time, and they're just trying to flap their gums until the real news is made. And the whole thing to me, it made me feel like I was watching a scripted event. Now, one of the allures, supposedly, of reality TV is that it's real, that there isn't a script. That's why audiences really like it, like the Real Housewives of whatever, or whatever reality TV show. But let me tell you, there is no such thing as improvisation or reality TV. It's all scripted. The only difference in reality TV and other TV is that the writers in reality TV are not members of unions. And that's it. The whole thing feels like a scripted event that I know in advance the outcome. And therefore, it isn't news. And none of it was spontaneous. We tuned in all knowing what was going to happen. We tuned in expecting what was going to happen. There was not any thought given by anybody to stopping it. And what happened? Sheer barbarism. People's businesses were destroyed. That's real. Real live bullets were fired at people. Real live Molotov cocktails were used. A woman who saved up everything because her hobby, her passion in life is baking cakes. And she's black. And she has a place I think a little strip mall or some street in Ferguson near where all this happened. It was totally destroyed. She had nothing to do with any of this. She was in tears the next day. Her own neighborhood, people from her own neighborhood and from who knows where else showed up and destroyed her little cake shop. Now, there's a great campaign on to refund and donate to her to rebuild. And she's collected, I think, before the program started, over $70,000. And she's happy as she can be, and thank God for that. But everybody knew this was going to happen. Maybe not that specific thing, but everybody knew it. The governor knew it. Where was the National Guard? The governor knew it. Every law enforcement official knew what was going to happen. There was no effort to stop it. The only thing that we speculated about was how bad is this going to be? How big was it going to be? And we all tuned in to see that. We all tuned in to see how bad the destruction, how big the flames, how chaotic. There wasn't an effort made to stop it. We were witnesses to barbarism, scripted barbarism that was designed to tear apart the fabric of an American community. And we sat and watched. And we had pre-advanced knowledge. They could have put the listings in TV Guide. Your DVR could have scheduled this because that's how much in advance we knew it was going to happen. Just like any other scheduled television show, which is what this was, except it's not. Lives were at risk. People's businesses were destroyed. Barbarism was on display. All-out assaults on the American culture and civilization were taking place. And there was no effort to stop it. None, nowhere. The governor of Missouri, in preparing the state, made it look like it was London in World War II on the eve of the German blitz. That's the degree to which he made preparations. And then for some reason, the National Guard was not deployed. And we were told that, well, maybe Obama called on the governor, fellow Democrats, keep the Guard out of this. We don't, I don't want militarized pictures during my regime. I want to do what I want to do without anybody figuring it out with the pictures. So keep the Guard out of there. Who knows? knows? But we're left to speculate. But there wasn't any effort to stop it. And then the next day we got questions on television, which should be absurd. But instead they were legitimate. Did authorities let Ferguson burn? It was a legitimate question, sadly. Did the authorities let Ferguson? Why? There was no effort to stop it. When the Rodney King riots, when the Watts riots of the 60s, when those things started, there were efforts to stop them. I mean, they played out to a certain point, but and they were I don't know, you could call them great TV or what have you, and they were structured and planned and so forth. Again, nothing is brand new. In 2014, everything has a precedent, but this is destructive in ways way beyond the riot itself. This is destructive in ways way beyond the damage to Ferguson, Missouri. This is destructive because there are a lot of casualties here. Truth, reality, fact, all casualties. None of that mattered. None of it matters today to a significant portion of the population which is hell-bent on tearing down the modern-day order. And nobody appears to be willing or knowledgeable enough or whatever to stop it. Instead, it becomes a television show, a scripted television show. There was not even a cliffhanger. We knew who shot JR before watching the episode. And the whole thing, I don't know, it just seems we're being manipulated in ways that we haven't been before. We are really being manipulated by a media complex in its association with the American left and the Democrat Party. And I think I'm instinctively here reacting and objecting to and pushing back against that manipulation and saying, I'm not going to fall for it. You're not going to get me. I am not going to be manipulated by it. I'm not going to get emotionally caught up in this because I know that what I'm seeing on TV is not what this is really all about. And that's the bottom line. None of this is really, when you get down to brass tacks, you strip all this away. This is not about the grand jury. It's not about Darren Wilson. It's not even about the Gentle Giant. It's about entirely different things that they don't show you, that you don't see. And it's the ease with which people are being manipulated and the ease with which people are falling for it, to me, is a problem. And it's very troublesome. And I look at all of this and I think I understand the purpose of it. I don't think I know. I know what the ultimate objective to all this is. You know what it is? At the end of all this, the real objective is to make you think that it's ludicrous and ridiculous to oppose any of this or speak out against it because you can't stop it. The grievances are too real. The country is too unjust. The country is illegitimate and immoral. And it's taken 250 years for this to come to light. But you'd better learn to accept that, and you'd better learn to accept that if you've been on the wrong side, i.e. in the majority in this country since it was founded, your day is coming. That's what this is about. And all of these events are just steps taken in that direction. I mean, how do you listen to Obama in his speech in Chicago? Obama, here's the Breitbart story. They had Obama lectures America about the justified anger towards law enforcement in minority communities. Tuesday at Copernicus Community Center in Chicago, President Obama addressed the riots and protests going on throughout the country in reaction to the grand jury announcement at Ferguson, blah, blah, blah. And that's just BS. What he did was he went before a black audience, and this is what he said. A grand jury made a decision yesterday that upset a lot of people. And as I said last night, the frustrations that we have seen are not just about a particular incident. So you see, it's not just about that. And by the way, the jury decision, the grand jury decision upset a lot of people. They're justified in being upset. Not because this decision might have been wrong, but because of all the previous ones where people got screwed. You have to understand. We have to step back and understand what happened, those businesses being destroyed, barbarism. We had better understand that it is legitimate. Because a lot of people were upset. Maybe this decision, grand jury got it right, but that doesn't erase all the wrongs that happened before it, which still breed all kinds of frustration. So I said last night, the frustrations we have seen are not just about a particular incident. See, it's about a lot of stuff that came before this. They have deep roots in many communities of color. The frustrations do. Have a sense that our laws are not always being enforced uniformly or fairly. In other words, even though the facts of the Brown case do not support any claims of an unjust shooting, the anger over all the previous injustices is enough to legitimize the anger this week in Ferguson. And that's the problem, folks. There's no reason for feeling screwed. There's no reason. The facts of this case do not support any claims that the shooting was unjust. Okay, fine. Well, what about last year? What about Trayvon Martin? What about OJ? What about on and on and on? What about Emmett Till? And it never ends. And so this incident is used to justify and permit all of this barbarism, not based on what happened this week, but all of the years prior, about which nothing can be done now, see. The events in the years prior, they're over and done with. And they have deep roots in many communities of color. Sense that our laws are not always being enforced uniformly or fairly. Even though they might have been in this case, that doesn't erase what happened in years past. Like the Trayvon Martin case, in fact, which ended up not being supported by the facts either. But that doesn't matter. The facts of the Trayvon case have been forgotten, just like the facts here will be forgotten. The news media's early lies will be remembered. The Duke lacrosse case is a case in reverse. If anybody ought to be mad about anything and an injustice and so forth, look at that case. But were there riots? Were there barbarism? Were there any kinds of acts of destruction that took place over that injustice? No, sir. No, ma'am. There were not. And that was a gross miscarriage of justice. But you see, that was also justified because, well, they're white and they played lacrosse? Come on! That means they're rich? Come on, even if these guys didn't do it, you know they wanted it. Even if these guys, you know it's happened before. So these guys pay the price, except they didn't. So all of this adds up to this country has a lot to account for. It has a lot of prices to pay. It has a lot of forgiveness. It has a lot to make up for. And you better just get used to it. And they're getting so accustomed to it now, they're writing a script of all these events in advance. We know what's going to happen. Nobody tries to stop it because everything, yeah, you know, we do kind of suck. Yeah, we were kind of bad back then. Yeah, I guess we do kind of justify this. We deserve this. Got to take a break here, folks. Sit tight. We'll be back. Don't go away.